Happy Friday, everyone, and welcome to the Early Edge. We have a great show for you. We're going to be talking Super Bowl. We're going to be talking NBA picks. We've got a lot. We got some PGA maybe to talk about as well. We got so much to do today, so I want to get right into it. But by the way, hit the like button if you're in there in the chat. Thank you for participating. I see you, Bradley, Michael Johnson in here, Jinx the Mouse, Proppy is in here, Kenneth, Chris, see you all. Hit the like button if you can. Let's take a look at the recap screen. Not our best work yesterday. We got the green check mark from the SportsLine site. You know it's a tough day when PropStars goes 0 for 2 because that is very, very unusual. My round one matchup, well, it's going today because it got rained out yesterday. Bo Hostler currently trailing by 2 strokes, but it's very, very early in that matchup, so we'll see what happens there. But ladies and gentlemen, it's time to move forward. We've got so much to talk about. I'm actually pretty excited because we're going to start the show a little differently with maybe some same game parlays in Super Bowl 58. But vibes are high, right? It's Friday, and the thing we do on Friday when the vibes are high, Big Pick Energy Friday. Let's do this. Let's go.
Come on.
Buckets doing the Matumbo. Did you know that's the Matumbo, what you were just doing right there?
I don't know what Matumbo is, so no, I did not know I was doing the Matumbo.
Well, Georgetown Hoya, great. That's how I think of Dikembe Mutombo. Chip Patterson, we know you got to go first. It's Big Pick Energy Friday. We all need, instead of our espresso, our double espresso, our triple espresso, we need our Chip Me Up. You got the floor.
Good morning, Sia. Good morning, Buckets. Good morning, Mike. Good morning, Danny. Good morning, Jake. Good morning to the Early Edge fam. Yeah, I'm here with that battery in your back. And look, tonight, Friday, it's an itty-bitty college hoop slate. But you know I got a pick for you coming up later in the show. But it is all about Super Bowl 58. You can watch it on CBS, America's most watched network, the network of stars. You can stream it on Paramount Plus, a mountain of entertainment. And you know what? They're going to let your boy get his beak a little bit wet with some NFL same game parlay. So I'm fired up to do it with you here on Big Pick Energy Friday.
Absolutely love it. Professional transition. Buckets is choked up. He's truly choked up at how you just delivered the opening stanza for this show. Good news, his same game parlay isn't coming until a bit later. Danny Brasco, Mike McClure, how are you guys doing? Mike, I thought I saw maybe a little bit of a shoulder shimmy from you when we were doing the dance. And maybe that was just you stretching. I'm not really sure, but I'm going to go with a shoulder shimmy there. Was I correct? You were dancing, right?
I absolutely dancing. Was not looking at the other computer, moving back to this one. No, I was dancing this morning.
That was dancing. Danny, you were shadow boxing, and I want to get this started before we get into official picks, which will be let off. Hopefully Buckets will be okay once we get to official picks. Sorry for laughing about it, but you seem to be okay.
Why are fish oil pills so big?
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
yeah, but they're coated in a way that they should be easy to swallow. Anyway, Danny Brasco, let's get to some Super Bowl 58 same game parlays. You're going to kick us off. We've got 4 here. Buckets is going to be in the mix here, which is pretty cool. Danny Brasco, explain your Super Bowl 58 Chiefs-Niners same game parlay picks.
Well, good morning, y'all. Here we go into a little same game parlay action. I hope Buckets is okay choking on a fish oil pill. That sounds absolutely brutal and a tough way to start your day. So let's kick it off with hopefully a winning parlay. I like the under in this game in general, so I'm going to tease it up sort of with the Chiefs spread and with the total, essentially what would be a 6-point teaser. Go under 53.5 and the Chiefs plus 8.5. I got to feel like it's going to be a close one possession game. So I'll take that spread through a possession. Travis Kelce's getting action all day. How do we not believe this? 5+ receptions there. McCaffrey, look for him in the pass game. I think the Chiefs are going to look to stack the box. Maybe that creates passing opportunities for McCaffrey. I like him 3+ receptions. And look for the juice man, Kyle Juszczyk, to come up with a clutch catch. He always seems to be that forgotten guy when the star-studded cast of the San Francisco receivers finds himself covered. Juszczyk leaks out for a sneaky clutch catch. So give me Juice, 5+ receiving yards. We get plus 280 on the same game parlay.
The toe tap by Juice last week 2 weeks ago was really, really impressive towards the end of the game. By the way, 40-1 first touchdown scorer, Kyle Juszczyk. Just want to throw that out there. I actually think that's the part of the leg, and I know like that's why we get plus 280 or whatever that number was, but that's the part of the one that's like almost like the only one that's iffy to me. That doesn't mean all the ones are like definitely coming in, but that's the one where, all right, we need to see Kyle Juszczyk get a touch in the passing game. I think the rest of that comes in. I absolutely love that. Mike McClure, he had the Chiefs there, I believe, plus 8.5. You got to love that part of it. What is your same game parlay?
Well, it definitely includes that plus 8.5 leg here, Sia. But I am doing something I don't recommend often, which is both sides here. But I do, like Danny, think we get a very competitive game here. So we're going Kansas City Chiefs and 49ers, both plus 8.5, bringing the total up to 57.5. We're going under that number. Then we're going to head to Travis Kelce, very similar to where Danny's thinking. The volume is simply too good to ignore, really in any game script. So I'll take him at 60 receiving yards. Deebo Samuel, I like him in this one. We're going to take his alt number at 45 plus yards. And then Christian McCaffrey. As Danny mentioned, I think that Kansas City will certainly stack the box a little bit. They typically are playing a little more bend, don't break. Here, I think they're going to actually give one-on-ones and make Brock Purdy beat them. So the biggest individual mismatch in this game is Christian McCaffrey versus the linebacking core of Kansas City. So I do think that he will be heavily involved in the receiving game. This is plus 775 if you play it as normal. If you opt into the BetMGM Super Bowl boost, which becomes a 58% boost for Super Bowl 58, this will be 12-1.
So many BetMGM promos. One I'm about to tell you about in a second, but let's get to you, Chip. I mean, I really like that one. Even without the boost at plus 7 and change, really, really like that one. And I agree with the plus 8.5 both ways. I do think this is most probably a closer game. What is your same game parlay for the Super Bowl?
Well, first of all, it was a little bit hard for me right off from the start. I'm more of a spray the board kind of guy, so I didn't even know where to find the same game parlays. But I take my game script. I'm always about the game script, and I started to put it in to say, how do I think this is going to go? How can we profit off this? So we begin with the fact that I do think the Kansas City Chiefs are going to win this game. And as we're putting together a parlay, we got a little plus money. That's going to help out our final payout. I think Isaiah Pacheco is going to be a big part of this because in the same way that Kansas City played a little keep away from the Baltimore Ravens in the AFC Championship game, I think the plan is the same. You want to dominate the time of possession. You want to control the ball with the ground game. I think we see a lot of attempts and a lot of yards from Pacheco. Also, I think that Kansas City's got the best defense in this game, and that means that you're not going to be able to always have those long, deep developing passing routes. I think that's a lot more action for George Kittle, so we'll throw him on there. And guys, let's be honest. I mean, when you are putting together a parlay for Super Bowl 58, doesn't Christian McCaffrey anytime touchdown feel like the free square on a bingo board? Famous last words, I know, but I do like the way that this all goes together because it is matching up with my game script and nearly gets us to 5-1 on the payout.
Christian McCaffrey anytime touchdown makes a lot of sense. I heard from a smart person earlier this week that they were betting Christian McCaffrey first half touchdown at plus 130, and that most of his touchdowns this season have actually been in the first half. So that's something to think about, whether you want to throw that in a parlay or just bet it straight out at plus money. Lee Brown says, I'm all over Deebo and Pacheco over props. But speaking of Christian McCaffrey buckets, give us the update. Are you okay on the fish oil supplements? And you like Christian McCaffrey in your same game parlay as well.
Yes, I do see it, and I'm alive, and that is all that we can ask for on a Friday like this. But I do have a same game parlay for everyone as well. If we can put that on the screen. Bam! I'm also on C. McCaffrey to score anytime in this, and mine's only 2 legs here. The second leg, nothing crazy. It is 1+ safeties scored. And if you were like me and you did not know what a safety was, the definition of a safety is if the offense commits a foul in its own end zone or when an impetus by a team sends the ball behind its own goal line and the ball is dead in the end zone in its possession. So 2 legs plus 950, keeping it nice and simple. Feeling pretty good about this one, Sia.
Well, we are all very happy you defined that for us, Buckets. By the way, it's Christian McCaffrey as opposed to C. McCaffrey. His full name is Christian, just FYI.
Okay, good to know.
Best running back in the league.
We really sped through that segment.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, by the way, Mackenzie Brooks is also in the chat with Prop Stars. If you like Inside the Lines, which is every Monday through Friday at 1 o'clock. If you love Prop Stars and his pick and his SportsLine articles, hit the like button for us. We are like the last few days, we've had so many SportsLine members in the chat, and we really, really appreciate that. We also appreciate BetMGM. Did you know that new BetMGM customers can sign up today and get $158 in bonus bets? Just place your first wager of at least $5 and you will receive $158 instantly in bonus bets, regardless of your wager's outcome, with bonus code EDGE158. That's EDGE158. All right, ladies and gentlemen, lucky you. We get to go right back to buckets for a couple of soccer picks. But before we do that, one quick message from our partners.
Touchdown. The 49ers are going back to the Super Bowl. The champs are still in it, headed to Vegas.
All right, we're back. And after the electrifying definition of a safety in the NFL, Buckets comes back to us, and instead of American football, he goes to football. You've got two picks for us, Buckets. What you got?
See, let's talk about some football here. And we're going to start with a bottom-of-the-table clash taking place in Serie A this afternoon. I'm looking at the top flight in Italy as Salernitana are hosting Empoli. This is dead last on the table against second to dead last on the table. This is a potential 6-point swing for either side here. So both teams will be absolutely desperate to produce any kind of result, knowing that this is the matchup more so than any that will help in their relegation battle. I'm keeping this one simple and taking both teams to score at -110 because when either team does go down early, and one team will, I don't know which one, but these are two horrific defenses. Someone is going to go down early, and they're going to be blitzing the rest of this matchup. I'm expecting this game to have a lot of goals here, and BTTS at -110, frankly, seems a little bit like a gift. And then from Italy to Austria we go, as the return of the Austrian Bundesliga is back after they had their extended winter break, and we've got a matchup instead of the bottom of the table at the top of the table, as Red Bull Salzburg, the absolute Goliath in this league, the Red Bull team themselves, will be hosting SK Sturm Graz. These are the two best teams, and frankly, it's not even close in this league. You've got Salzburg, you've got Sturm Graz, you've got Lask, and you've got Hartberg, and nobody else really matters here. Again, keeping this one simple, both teams to score a little bit of juice here at -130, but when you have Salzburg, who has 34 goals in 17 games, and you have Sturm Graz, who has 28 goals in 17 games, frankly, I don't care how good the defenses are. You have two teams that know how to score more so than any other team in Austria. Give me both teams to score on this one as well.
All right. Absolutely love it. We're going to get some fireworks in that Salzburg game. But Chip, go ahead.
Yeah, Salernitana, I'm going to be sad if they drop down from Serie A because they don't have a huge home stadium like the big clubs, but they've got a really passionate fan base. And like, if we lose that atmosphere, it is similar to in college hoops, the small gym, small conference, but at Indiana State, when they show up and go nuts for every single game, like it's going to be, I'm almost rooting for Salernitana so that they'll be able to stay up.
Buckets, I was going to say the same thing about, is it Salernitana? I was going to say the same exact thing. And Chip, honestly, he kind of interrupted me.
That was kind of rude of Chip, but I forget Chip that is a Serie A fan. I think Fiorentina is your club, right?
Yeah,
Italy?
Fiorentina lost at Salernitana late last year in the game that secured them to not go down last season, and the place was bananas. And I was not even heartbroken. I mean, we were already going to be looking at Fiorentina going into Europe already, so nothing lost on the Viola side. But at least Salernitana, they got to stay up and enjoy that passion.
Danny, don't head nod like you know what he's talking about. I know what you're doing. You're pretending.
I actually lived in Florence for 2 years, and I'm a big Forza Viola guy. So Fiorentina all day. That made me really happy to hear, Chip. I'm so surprised.
I'm that guy then. Okay, so I'm that guy. I get it. All right. So Buckets had at the end of his take on that second game, he said he's going to keep it simple. I'm going to keep it simple too. This is not a regular system play. It's more of a Sia system play. I'm taking, where's Big Cheesy? Is he still in here? I'm taking the Sacramento Kings coming off that loss to the Detroit Pistons, but I'm not taking them in the full game. I'm taking them in the first quarter, money line -114. I just love this setup coming off such an embarrassing loss to the Detroit Pistons. When you read the quotes from the coach after the game, he basically called out his team, which honestly, we shouldn't be surprised about. He said, listen, you're going to have some losses against some bad teams. I'm paraphrasing, of course, but we didn't leave it all out on the floor, and I expect much better from my team. It's that type of thing that I think resonates with an NBA team. In college hoops, we always know that type of thing will resonate with a college hoop squad. But coming into the All-Star break, Sacramento Kings coming off such a bad loss, I think they're really going to show up with the defensive and offensive intensity in the first quarter. And the good news here is Denver Nuggets, well, they're a way better team, but they're coming off a back-to-back. It was a pretty grueling game against the Los Angeles Lakers last night. And honestly, I'm not even sure. We might even see somebody sit out at this game. Like, I don't know. I'm not 100% sure Jamal Murray's playing in this game. But even if he does, I think it's a sleepy start coming off a back-to-back. And the Kings coming off that embarrassing loss, I think you're going to see them show up immediately in this game. So give me the Sacramento Kings first quarter money line -114. Play it up to -120. It's probably going to be between this -114, -120 the entire day. All right. That's my NBA pick. Danny Brasco, we saw you start the show with a little bit of shadow boxing, a little bit of dancing, if you will. And I got to say, shout out to the Apollo Creed fans. That was pretty big news. He was only 76 years old and very unexpected. And if you grew up watching Rocky and those movies, he was really a big part of your childhood. So, Danny Brasco, you have the floor. You got a couple picks for some fight nights.
Yes, we do. And great call out, Sia. Carl Weathers, absolute legend. In that Apollo Creed character, too, he kind of evoked a lot of the Muhammad Ali mannerisms and sort of attitude. So he brought this larger-than-life kind of charisma to it as well that we really appreciated about that whole style he brought to the character. In any case, rest in peace to Carl Weathers, and let's honor it with some good fight picks here in the UFC on Fight Night. I want some pre-Super Bowl profits. So let's back a couple underdogs. I owe you guys some winners from last week. Let's go back to basics and back the dogs. First one, Max Payne Griffin, +130 here. And I think the line is off here. Max Griffin is a chiseled veteran and a guy that's not so easy to put away. He's taken on a powerful, explosive wrestler in Jeremiah Wells. But I don't think Wells is going to have an easy time getting his hands on Griffin. Griffin has good kind of darting in and out of range footwork, and he likes to throw his stinging right hand and jump back out of range. If Griffin's controlling the range in this fight, Wells isn't going to find those big looping hooks that he throws, and he's not going to land takedowns so easily. And if he's not able to do that, there's really no plan B. I think Griffin is able to avoid that takedown and potentially knock him out for big plus money. So I like the dog Griffin there and look for a knockout prop. I saw around +375 for that. Another dog I like in the UFC is Armen Petrosyan. And the theme here for both these guys is takedown defense because Petrosyan is fighting a jiu-jitsu ace in Rodolfo Vieira. His nickname is the Black Belt Hunter. But similarly, if Vieira can't find that takedown, he's going to be in trouble. Petrosyan in his early UFC career has been tested against grapplers, right? And even in wins and losses, he's had to battle defending takedowns, going through the clinch positions, and I think it's only made him better for that. So against Vieira here, if he can defend that early takedown, if Vieira finds himself in a kickboxing fight with Petrosyan, he's going to get himself knocked out. Give me Armen Petrosyan +100, give me Max Griffin +130, and let's cash some UFC dogs on Saturday night, Sia.
Max Griffin, a little known fact from Quahog, Rhode Island. I bet you a lot of people didn't know that, and most people don't get that reference. If you do, put the show in the chat that I just referenced. All right, we got to get to a Super Bowl pick, and we got to get to a college hoops pick from Chip for tonight involving VCU and Dayton. I think this is a really interesting game. Chip's going to have a play on that. But before we get there, let's hear one more quick message from our partners.
The madness doesn't just happen.
Y'all get ready!
And although it's marked on our calendars each year, it's built by moments of mayhem before.
And the crowd goes crazy!
And it begins to bubble long before it bursts. Sure, madness and March may go hand in hand, but it starts right here.
The chat is so smart. I think it was either Taylor or Bradley that pointed it out earlier in this chat that the chat has just been on fire this week, and everybody, of course, got the Quahog, Rhode Island Griffin Family Guy reference. I really appreciate that. Mike, before we get to your pick, because you have a pick in the Super Bowl, I do want to remind people we've got some shows on Super Bowl Sunday. I want to point out the Super Bowl schedule, the early edge, Sunday, 10 a.m. Eastern. And then we've got a kickoff special, which will take you probably through kickoff. We'll at least go up to kickoff, maybe through the first drive, see if we can cash some bets while we're still on the show. But we're going to have a ton of guests on that 5 p.m. show. A lot of faces you haven't seen on a regular basis on this show. We're going to have a lot of picks, of course, a lot of takes. So join us at 10 a.m. on Sunday, and then join us again at 5 p.m. on Sunday. You'll see a lot of me as well, of course, but you're gonna see pretty much everybody in this universe. So really, really looking forward to that. And good transition to a Super Bowl pick, Mike McClure. I had a first quarter pick in the NBA of all leagues. You have a first quarter pick, which isn't unusual for you, in the NFL. Go ahead.
Yes, yeah. A lot of people follow me in college football. I used to bet a lot of first quarter unders before some of the rule changes. We are attacking the first quarter in the Super Bowl, but we are going the other way here. I like the over in the first quarter, over 7.5 -120. I think it's a decent price point here. It's hard to map first quarter totals to like full game and halftime because they don't move as much. But when you look at this spot, there's a couple things working in our favor here. Number one, all the additional time off to prepare, you should have very good scripted opening drives. We've seen this numerous times from Kansas City, and it's why they've been so good, coming out of a locker room, for example, whether it's first quarter or third quarter. Shanahan, the same thing. These two teams have been two of the best. When you look at what they've done this season in terms of scoring on the road, this is a road game, neutral environment game, they were both actually better in terms of first quarter scoring away from home. San Francisco averaged over 7 points in the first quarter in those games. So when you look at what Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs have done in the Super Bowl, they have scored in the first quarter of every single Super Bowl that they have played in. The total in the first quarter has gone over in every single one they played in. I was just looking back at Kansas City specifically in the playoffs, and I believe we are at 9 consecutive playoff games where they have scored in the first quarter. Simply put, they're very good out of the locker room. They have the ability to put points on the board. We get this Super Bowl in a dome in a controlled environment. That leaves longer field goals in play. And I think San Francisco, again, has a ton of big playability here. So I like the over to start this game. Would also mention if Purdy makes a mistake, I think it'll be early in this game.
Let me ask you this, Mike, because Mark Buchholz has done a little bit of research on DraftKings. It appears that, and this might be other books as well, but the proposition is first quarter, both teams to score at plus 130. Do you like that as well?
Yes, I would lean there as well, because you could definitely get there with 2 field goals, which is very, very, very possible here.
Okay, and Rick Von Cannon, before we get to Chip's pick, he says, the fact that Sia didn't do a PGA matchup bet today makes me think today is a stay-away day for PGA. Well, the problem is round 1 didn't finish yesterday. That's the only reason I don't have a pick. We're not even close to finishing round 1. So I don't know how far we'll get into round 2. But what we're really sweating out right now, Rick, and I think some people might have even cashed this bet out, is the Figala first-round leader bet, which we got at 45-1. He is currently your first-round leader. They gave you the cash-out option on some sites. Some people are just riding with it. I'm not suggesting you should cash out necessarily either way, but it's going to be tough for him to hold onto that with good conditions. Somebody asked me if I'm going to tweet out over the weekend some golf matchups. Yes, if I like something, I'm going to tweet it out. So follow me on Twitter for that. I hope that answers the PGA questions. All right, Chip Patterson, we got a game tonight. I'm actually excited about this game. I've been following VCU for quite some time. Dayton, certainly a solid team. I think VCU's getting a guy back, or maybe I'm misquoting that, but maybe getting a little bit healthier. What do you like in this game?
Oh, I think this is going to be a fantastic game because, as you mentioned and as you know, VCU and Dayton, one of the two of them have been in the top 2 of the Atlantic 10 for like the last half decade. And when they go against each other, when they're both at the top of the conference standings like they are right now, the environment I'm expecting is going to be absolutely electric. And I think that leads to a little bit of urgency. And as you know, I'm a little bit of science, a little bit of vibes the way that I approach this. Now, the science, especially the pace and the tempo, would say, oh, whoa. Why are you going to go over? But I'll tell you why I'm going to go over in this, because these two teams share some similarities. They both rely heavily on the three-pointers. Their three-point attempt percentage are both very high. Their three-point shooting percentage are both very high. They can both fill it up with the possessions that they have. Also, when you look at individually the way that they can approach each other, the way that they can attack each other. Remember, VCU has a new head coach in Ryan Odom. And when he was at Utah State, that was another team that loved to be able to make it rain. I think that the home court is going to be good for VCU and being able to get those three-pointers to fall. And Dayton is just simply one of the best offensive teams in the entire country. And finally, if this is a tight game, as this betting spread is saying, well, then we might have a lot of free throws. And these are 2 good free throw shooting teams too. And that's how you get to an over, with those free throws, adding points with no time falling off the clock. So in a close, competitive game, electric environment, three-pointers left and right, I do think that despite these slow pace ratings on the season, we do end up going over this total.
Can you show me again, Chip, how you punch up data on your computer, if you would?
Beep, beep, boop, 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 boop.
No, that was different. But either way, they were both Hall of Fame.
Yeah, somebody asked me one time, like, hey, do you script this? No, I cannot replicate. It is not scripted. I am just giving it to you from me to you.
Oh, I absolutely love that. By the way, I think it was somebody in the chat reminding us on Thigala. Not only do we have him as a first round leader, we'll see if that hits, but we also have him outright from the early wedge. I hope you all are tuning into the early wedge every Tuesday night at 7 o'clock. It's me, Patrick McDonald, and EC. And of course, on SportsLine, you can catch all of Mike McClure's picks, simulations, DFS plays, things of that nature. We're just delivering as much as we possibly can because PGA is really going to start picking up now that the Phoenix Open is underway. Just something to consider because we are very profitable in golf on this channel. All right, ladies and gentlemen, speaking of profitable, let's take a look at the recap screen. I've got the Kings first quarter money line. Shout out to Big Cheesy, light the beam. Buckets, Salernitana and Empoli, both teams to score, and Sterngras and Salzburg, both teams to score. Danny Brasco, Max Griffin, money line, plus 130. Petrosian, money line, plus 100. Love the plus money plays there. And he mentioned that knockout at plus 375. I think that one pertained to Griffin. Super Bowl first quarter, over 7.5 for Mike McClure. Chip Patterson, Dayton VCU, over 134.5. All right. That's a lot of picks. That's a lot of picks. A lot of golf to sweat too. I'm still sweating my round one matchup. That 3-ball just got underway yesterday, and then they were stopped after 4 holes. So we're going to be sweating that one out too. Ladies and gentlemen, what a show. We got Inside the Lines today on this very same channel, just in a couple of hours here. And of course, don't forget about our Super Bowl schedule, the 10 o'clock show. And then of course, the 5 o'clock show leading you up to the Super Bowl. It'll be the full allotment of picks, but don't worry. We'll also have like kind of the traditional stuff, first touchdown score, things of that nature. So we'll be delivering everything to you. I hope everybody has a happy Friday. I hope we cash some of these picks. I hope you all stay positive. Look people in the eye, say thank you, say you're welcome, say hello to a stranger. Just get the vibes up. We need to be doing that on a daily basis. We got to get out of here, though. On behalf of Mike McClure, Danny Brasco, Chip Patterson, Buckets, Jake the Snake on the 1s and 2s and 9s and 10s, my name is Sia Nejad, otherwise known as the Counselor. This is The Early Edge, and we rest our case.